Hi there. Right, this is going to sound crazy if you've never heard of it before, but there's a bit of an argument going on at the moment on YouTube between people who believe that Jesus did exist in history and people who believe that he didn't. So, as you may know, Christianity is the world's most popular religion, and to believe in it, you kind of have to believe that Jesus existed in history and some other stuff. Particularly important is you have to believe that he lived, died, and then rose from the dead. There's some other stuff, I'm not going to get into it right now, but what I will say is this. There are a few YouTubers who deal with history, and in particular the history of the Middle East and the, Judaism and Christianity and all of that. And there's been a considerable argument. Dr. Richard Carrier was on Godless Engineer's channel, and they were responding to something from Dr. M David Litwa on the History Valley channel, hosted by Jacob Berman. And this led to a fair old stooshy involving Neil Sendiak from the Gnosticinformant channel. And, others have been roped in rather unwittingly. I remember seeing Jacob Berman having a good old rant about mythicists and how horrible they are, to a rather bemused Dr. Robert Price. I get the impression Dr. Robert Price isn't convinced that Jesus existed in history, but he really didn't know what to say to Jacob Berman's rant. And then Neil Sendiak also made a load of nasty accusations against Dr. Carrier on his channel, and then had to invite Carrier on to apologise. And then I was seeing today, I don't know if it was today, but it was recently, he's done another, big ranting and raving thing about, oh yeah, mythicists are so horrible and they send me this, and mythicists are all that and this. Anyway, we had another scholar on his channel yesterday or today, and within half an hour he had steered the conversation around to, oh yeah, what do you think of these people who say that, and to be honest, I had to switch it off. I just don't appreciate a history channel going on for 10 or 15 minutes literally saying that these people are all mentally deficient. I mean, let's look at the evidence. That's what both sides in this stupid argument have said up to now. Let's look at the evidence. And honestly, there's not that much surviving evidence from 2,000 years ago, is there? I think I'm correct in saying that there isn't enough evidence to prove that Jesus was a historical man that actually lived and was one person, all right? Fair enough, it might well be a Robin Hood or King Arthur deal where it's been quite a lot of guys. We know there were a lot of roaming teachers in quite a politically tumultuous time back there in the 1st century CE in Israel. We know that. It was a plague of messiahs, as one person has said, because we also know that there were a lot of different messianic movements and that they were expecting a messiah. You can see that turns up in, the books of likes of Daniel and Hosea and some of the later books in the Tanakh. And then by the time of Jesus' supposed life, there was a lot of people expecting that to happen. Things were going wrong and they expected heaven to step in and for the Messiah to arrive as per those prophecies. So there were a lot of people who were claimed to be the Messiah, who caused a lot of turmoil. And what we've received, which was compiled 50, 60, 70 years after Jesus' supposed lifetime, maybe more, it may well include traditions that come from many different historical guys. And we wouldn't know. We wouldn't be able to prove that. The Gospels are all literature. Paul's letters don't say anything about a historical Jesus. What Paul says is that he knows he died, which, if somebody lived, then they died. I mean... So anyway, I would like to do a proper video sometime about the historical Jesus and go through the evidence point by point. And I do intend to do that. It's on the slate, but I'm really busy at the moment. But it makes me sad seeing... I'll tell you what, I wasn't happy with Jacob Berman's rant in the first place, banging on about mythicists and Carrierites and how they can all unsubscribe as far as he's concerned. I was a bit put out by that because I have to say History Valley is currently my favourite YouTube channel, and I think that all of his videos are fantastic for the most part, and he gets some fantastic guests on and he asks them really insightful questions. So if you haven't seen History Valley, I'd recommend his channel, despite the fact that he did go on that rant, because subsequent to that he has interviewed more than one scholar who you can tell is questioning the historicity of Jesus. And Berman doesn't go on a rant like Neil Sendiak did. He doesn't accuse them of being liars. He doesn't do that. So, you know. Anyway, I know I haven't got... I mean, these people have got like 50,000, 60,000 subscribers. I've got less than 10. I think I might have over 10 subscribers now. I might do. So thank you if you're a subscriber of mine. But this is very much an amateur channel, as you can see. Just about my personal thoughts. I'm not interviewing a famous scholar or anything like that. I haven't got anything unique to offer, really. Well, maybe I do. Maybe we all have something unique to offer. So I'm not going to touch those guys. And maybe about 24 people see this video at the most. But, for what it's worth, that's what I think. There isn't enough evidence to prove that Jesus existed in history, and there also isn't enough evidence to prove that he didn't. But I will make a video going through the evidence point by point. And that's it. That's all I had to say. I think it's very childish for gnosticinformant in particular to behave like this. But I think it's generally very childish for people to behave like there's some... I mean, to hear an actual PhD scholar saying... And these are his exact words, and I'm not going to name the scholar, but it was somebody that gnosticinformant was interviewing. And he said that people who think Jesus didn't exist in history are intellectually deficient and need a psychiatrist. Honestly. It's an actual hypothesis like any other about the ancient world, and it should be taken seriously on the merits of the evidence that does or doesn't support it. It's as simple as that. And anybody making comments like that is just behaving like a child. There's no excuse for it. So, that's it. That's what I have to say about it. And I'm going to shut up now, because 5 minutes of my ranting, 7 minutes, 8 minutes now of my ranting. You've probably got a life to get back to. Off you go. Be excellent to each other. See you next time.